in just a second, I'm going to be introducing author Janet Beard, and we're going to be talking about her newest book called The Atomic City Girls. And this book is really good. I learned so much that I did not know about World War II and the atomic bomb and everything that was going on in the making of the atomic bomb. This was a great topic. She is so smart. I can't wait. I have so many questions to ask her. So, everyone, here is Janet. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be speaking today with author Janet Beard, and we're going to be talking about her brand new book that she has the copy of called The Atomic City Girls. And I am so happy I got to read this book, Janet. You want to show everybody the cover?
Yes, here we go.
All right. I love this cover. I mean, I only got to see it on my Kindle, so getting to see it like that is so much better. I listened to it on WhisperSync. Did you ever hear of that?
Oh, no.
Okay, it's a thing that Amazon has. And so what you do is, as I'm listening and reading it on my Kindle, if I'm listening, it'll fast forward on my Kindle. And then if I'm on my Kindle, it fast forwards on. So I really enjoyed, I wanted to look up her name. Maybe you know it, but the Audible was so good. It was really
good. I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah. I've only listened to a 5-minute clip because I couldn't quite bring myself to listen to the whole book after working on it for so long.
But. Oh my gosh. And I read the whole book and then I went back. I mean, I was listening and reading, right? And when I was setting up, I was listening to the very last stuff, like the chapter and everything, just because I wanted to hear how it ended with her. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anyway, this book, I love this book. I learned so much, and I actually kept going back to make sure that it was fiction, because I was like, are these real people? Because especially when I ended it, I'm like, no, it said novel. This is not, it's not real people.
Yeah.
But the timeline that you did at the end of the book, perfect. I mean, I'm somebody who loves timelines. I like seeing it in front of me, and I thought it was so great that you did that with these fictional characters to show where they were and how they came in, because as you're reading a book, you kind of forget where the characters came into the story. I thought that was great. And then to see the history interwoven in there, that was a really great idea.
I just did that for the reader's guide, but I did kind of wish I'd done it in the first place when I was writing, because it would have helped me to keep track of everything while I was writing.
Yeah, so you grew up in Tennessee, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So this was kind of your world.
Yeah, I remember knowing about it while I was growing up and hearing the stories. And then when I actually started researching the book, I found out that my own grandmother had worked on the Manhattan Project. And I didn't know that, which is crazy.
I saw that in it. I was looking through some of the interviews you had done. I was like, wow, how crazy is it that you wrote a book about it and then find out, years later. And you did school, as a girl, you did trips to this.
Yeah. Well, they have a museum there, which, it's mostly like a kid science museum. Well, I shouldn't say mostly. It's about half a kid science museum and half is more dedicated to the history of the Manhattan Project. So I think most 8-year-olds just kind of play with the scientific experiments. But I always liked history and was intrigued. And yeah, it completely freaked me out because I didn't know what atomic bombs were before then. And yeah, I guess obviously it stuck with me because, all these years later I wrote a book.
Right. And people love World War II historical fiction. I mean, that's just, and then every time I read one, I think I know everything. I'm like, nobody can tell me anything else. And then anyone who's seen the Manhattan Project, I mean, we think we know everything, and yet you brought a story alive that I don't think is that well known. I'm sure a lot more people besides me know about it, but I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. We didn't really talk about it. It wasn't something that was talked about.
I think most people, when they think of the Manhattan Project, tend to just think of Los Alamos, where they designed the bomb, and aren't really aware of Oak Ridge or Hanford, Washington, which is where they were creating plutonium. So they get sort of swept under the rug a bit.
Right. Well, I fell in love with these characters. I love these characters, and I love that in the story. So I love June, of course, because she's the main character, and I loved her. But I loved how you brought everybody together.
Mhm.
because it wasn't just women and it wasn't just black people and it wasn't just, scientists and, they all had to work together and then they had to eat together and they had to live together. And, you know, I think it must have been a very interesting time. So,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
for all of that to happen. And just to give people, I love first lines. Okay. And the prologue starts in 1942. And June's grandfather, the land that he owns gets bought by the government. And that's kind of like the opening of the story. But then I just wanted to read this sentence because I really thought that this first sentence really captured the whole book. And I love when I find that. So I wrote it down. That's how much I loved it. It said the bus to Oak Ridge was packed with other girls June's age. And June's age was 18 for everybody who wants to know, along with a few soldiers and laborers in the back. And you didn't say it, but we know that the laborers in the black were black men that had
Yeah,
to sit in the back.
yeah.
And, as the story unfolds, I just thought that I went back and I reread the prologue and I reread the first chapter because I always do that because I gained so much more from it. And I saw other people were saying they did that too. So that should make you really happy that they love the book enough to go back because I think that's a compliment. And when I saw that sentence, I was like, wow, I didn't even realize like how much meaning that had into the book. So
Yeah.
I love that. And I always like to point that out because I think you guys work really, really hard on getting that first sentence perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure it went through many, many changes. Well, I know the whole first chapter went through many changes.
Did
So,
it? Did it?
yeah.
So you're going through timelines, and it's such a part of history that we know about. Those 2 years were very much a part of our history. And so, were you doing like really extensive outlines for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of a compulsive outliner, no matter what, even if I'm writing something that takes place all in contemporary times. I really like to plan before I start writing.
Uh
But
huh.
yeah, especially with the historical stuff, yeah, I got very, very meticulous about ordering everything up. And I'd say actually that was probably for me the biggest challenge was figuring out the structure that would make the best narrative and how to also make it historically accurate should not sort of change when things happen.
Right.
So that was hard. It took a
Yeah.
long time to
Yeah, and
figure out.
it's especially because you do have a lot of characters. I
Mhm.
mean, we have June as the main character, but she goes through, and meeting a lot of people, and there's a lot of people. So I was thinking about like the timelines for those to get, keep up where they are in the
Yeah.
story, because they're all going through different things as the story progresses. So it's like I thought you did. I thought it was amazing. But then when I went through your bio and saw that you went to school for screenwriting, I was like, of course she did. That's why it was so good. I think that this would make a great movie. It would make a great movie. But so it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me that you were a screenwriter.
Yeah, I think I do kind of think in movie a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to be able to write fiction and get into the characters' minds and describe what they're thinking and feeling. But yeah, somewhere deep down, my brain is just very movie oriented. That's sort of my first true love. I've got to admit.
Well, I always think that I can tell when I see that, like when I saw you were a screenwriter, and then I realized like I think that screenwriters do such a good job of like character development and having the character start off one way and by the end of the book be completely different. A growth.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like there's a definite growth that I think a lot of authors who aren't screenwriters have to really struggle with, but it was seemed very natural. All the I don't know. That's just my opinion. But to me, it seemed like a very natural progression of what she went through, and not just her, but the other characters also.
yeah, yeah.
So I love that. I love that part. But so like so it was like you grew up in Tennessee, and you had this story. I mean, how does it feel to have finished this?
Oh, it was a huge relief, really, because I worked on it for so long, just for a lot of different reasons. I think I've been writing it just during a lot of really busy years of my life.
Right,
In the middle
right,
of writing it, I got married and had a baby, and I've moved so many times. So just to
yeah,
finally, have it done and actually published and out in the world, there were many times when it just had so much going on. I was like, I'll never finish, but I did. So that's nice.
Yeah, and I thought it was your debut novel, but you actually have another book that you came out with a couple of years ago, and probably like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
it's a long time ago. That's what I mean. It took a long time to
it took
get
a
the
long.
second
Did
one
it
done.
really? Were you working on this that whole time?
Yes, basically the short answer. I mean,
Yeah.
like I say, a lot of other things were going on too, and I was getting distracted by other projects. So it wasn't like every day or even whole months would go by that I wasn't working on it. But in some way or another, it was always on the back burner.
Right. Well, I mean, this book's only been out for a month. I see it all over the place. I mean, I'm on Instagram a lot, and all the book bloggers are like, "Read this book, read this book." So it's. I mean, you must be so happy with the amount of press this
Oh,
is getting.
yeah, absolutely. It's been like a dream come true, really.
Oh, that's awesome. And I see that you're also writing another book.
Yes, I am trying to.
Yeah.
Try to be a little faster this time.
Oh, you're young. You have time. You have plenty of time. Tell us about that story. Well, what can you tell us about it?
Sure. Well, it's still very much a work in progress, so it may change. But right now, the basic idea is that it's also set in East Tennessee in southern Appalachia, and it focuses on six generations of women, and kind of tells their stories. And the stories are all sort of inspired in different ways by folklore, and in particular the music of Appalachia, and even more in particular murder ballads, which I've always been kind of fascinated by.
And I was like, because I was reading this and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what?
But basically, there's just a lot of songs that have been passed down through the years in Appalachia that are about usually young women being killed, usually by their boyfriends. So I thought, that's weird. Why are there all these songs and they seem so kind of quaint, and you sing them with a banjo and then you listen to the words and you're like, oh. So that's really what got me
I know,
in.
and I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard a murder ballad. So.
Well, there's Tom Dooley's one of the more famous ones. It's actually from the point of view of the murderer. Yeah, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of them.
That is crazy. I've been to Memphis, and I don't think I've ever been to Eastern Tennessee, though. Like, when you were talking about, I saw you were talking about it, and I was like, because Memphis is like in the middle, I want to say.
No, it's in the west. See, I've never even been to Memphis because it's about 7 hour drive from where I grew up. It's very far.
Right,
Yeah.
Nashville's in the south, right? Memphis is
Knoxville's in the east, and Chattanooga as well, and then Nashville's right in the middle, and then Memphis is out in the west. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a very long state.
Right, and I was to Memphis. I don't know, I was never to Nashville, but it's kind of one of those states like I've driven through.
Yeah.
I think I've driven through Eastern Tennessee.
I grew up in the Smoky Mountains, and right around the corner from Dollywood, which has become quite well known.
Right.
I'm from Dolly Parton's hometown, so that's my neck.
I love her. I bet you guys all love her there.
Yeah, everybody loves her. No one doesn't love Dolly, really.
How can you not love her? Yeah, so when you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, I don't think that I ever really like stopped there, like to really be, and it seems like such a unique part. I mean, Tennessee's bigger than I think people realize, especially, like it's so different from east to west. Because it's a completely different, part of the mountains are in the east, and it's a completely different like climate, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But now you live in Ohio. How did you get to Ohio?
Pretty boring through my husband's work. He got a job here.
But you did screenwriting in New York.
Yeah, I went off to NYU to study screenwriting when I left Tennessee. And I love New York. I had 10 great years there. It was becoming less fun to live there the older I got and be in a really tiny apartment, kind of scripting and saving and, struggling to get by. So I was happy when he got job opportunities that took us other places. I was sort of ready for a change, but I'll always love New York.
Yeah, I always think it's funny when you watch like How I Met Your Mother or Friends or anything, and their apartments are like.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody thinks that's real life.
Yeah, especially for a writer.
Especially for a writer, right? Well, do you ever think about writing a screenplay for this book?
Oh gosh, I mean, I would love to if an opportunity came along, but honestly, if anyone would want to make it into a movie, and that would be fantastic, and it would just be icing on the cake if they wanted me to write the screenplay.
Right. Well, do you enjoy writing the screenplays, or do you enjoy writing the novels?
I love both. I really do. Like I say, I love film. I love watching movies so much, and TV now that TV's gotten so good in the last few
Right.
years as well. And I enjoy writing screenplays because I do think it's a really different way of working, and it works your brain in a different way because you're really not thinking so much about putting beautiful words on a page, but it's more about what the image will be on the screen, and crafting that as well as you can and as simply as you can. So yeah, no, I enjoy doing both. I'm teaching screenwriting. I've been teaching screenwriting for a few years, and I'm teaching it right now. So it's funny. One part of my brain is sort of in the screenwriting world, but it's more about helping my students right now, and not anything I'm working on.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I love screenwriting too. I think it's such an art. It's such a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
thing. I love that about it. But anyway, thank you so much, Janet. I want to let's look at the cover again because I want to show everybody this cover.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love the cover. They did a
Oh, I
fantastic job.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that cover. And I'll have all of Janet's links listed underneath here. Thank you so much for talking with me. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy that I found you, and I'm so happy I read this book.
Thank you. This was really fun.
All
Thanks.
right. Thanks. Talk to you later, Janet.
Bye.
Bye bye. Everyone, we're back. If you made it this far, that means you watched my whole interview with Janet, and she was so sweet. And guys, this book is really good. If you love World War II historical fiction, you will love this book, okay? And I will have all of Janet's links underneath here. Thank you guys for watching. The Atomic City Girls. What a great book. The research is so good. She did such a great job with the research. So thank you, everyone. And if you liked our video, please hit like. And if you'd like updates on all my videos, please hit subscribe.